Yeah, our first player in the top right representing a Dragon Phoenix Gaming. He is the Red Terran player from South Korea. It is the #1 player on a Ligulac, Cure.
And his opponent. In the bottom left-hand side in the blue, noted Corgi enthusiast from Team Alpha X. He is RagnaroK.
Wait. What?
In one interview that RagnaroK had when he won a GSL series, he was wearing a polo shirt that had a little corgi stitched onto the top corner. It was a corgi butt. So, like, it was a corgi looking over his shoulder, like, shaking his big corgi butt. Yeah. And ever since then, I've referred to him as a corgi enthusiast. I have no idea if that's actually true.
So what you're saying is, have you ever seen RagnaroK and the Queen in the same room at the same time?
My God, Grant, I haven't. We need to get some top men on this right away.
Top men, Creighton. Okay, so
men.
Pool gas here, most likely, or maybe even gasless from RagnaroK is going to go up for quicker queens and things like that. I would be surprised to see him play gasless for too long. We do have a Rax expand here. There is a gas taken for our Terran player. See if it's going to be a Reaper. Yes, it is. Yeah, it is completely gasless so far from RagnaroK. Slightly interesting. Not as common these days. Hatch gas pool, the standard opening. And yeah, this is fun. I like to see. I'm interested where this will go here.
Yeah, there's the gas finally taken by RagnaroK, but notably, very, very late gas here. So he's got something up his sleeve. Potentially, he just forgot to build his gas because he's in Silver League. I don't think that's the case, though, Grant. He's got something up his sleeve here with that very, very late gas. Going to finish about the same time the pool is, which is very surprising here as he saturates that up all the way. So excited to see what happens. But as you said, Reaper expand from Cure. Absolutely average stuff. Normal play here from our Terran player. And Cure and RagnaroK have been playing each other for hundreds of times, Grant. Have you noticed anything in their play specifically when they go up against each other? Do you think they're going to have a strategy just for this other guy?
I think I wouldn't be surprised if they are playing the player as opposed to just playing the map and matchup. Yeah, I think that's certainly a possibility here. Gasless isn't something we see all the time. It of course allows you to get that quicker queen, to get that quicker third, quicker queens and quicker third base, and you have a couple of extra lings as well here. There is 6 as opposed to just 4. So this is interesting. Of course, the tech will be slow for RagnaroK. He's going to be able to get a lot of slow lings out. He does have a gas geyser now, and that has 2 workers in it. So his gas is building up, but it's, you know, a little slow. Actually, okay, he is going to start speed. I was about to say, he had over 100 gas at 132 before he started that. So, interesting build here. I'm very, very curious. I don't know. I'm never going to proclaim to be a Zerg expert. I play Protoss myself. So, the benefits of gasless are kind of foreign to me, I guess. But, I mean, it's not by any means, of course, a mistake or wrong so far. Lots and lots of queens will be out. We see... Oh, actually, he stopped it free for now. Interesting. Very interesting game.
Yeah, Reaper pushed away here. Did snipe a creep tumor, though. Always valuable for the Terran player to snipe that creep tumor, especially the one heading to the third base, which is the primary creep tumor that you want to save. RagnaroK putting his tumor up on the north side, obviously going to take a 4th base at some point soon here, but not being able to connect the natural and the third, or at least not having a direct connection between the natural and the third, going to slow him down considerably, Grant, especially if there were Hellion pressure coming into the third base. If there were, for example, a Reaper coming into the third base. Look at this. There's nothing to defend against it. Those queens have to waddle all the way across, and it's going to put RagnaroK in an awkward position where you're not sure if you want to put your queens at this third to save it and get it saturated up, or leave them at your natural. But behind this, Cloaked Banshee out for Cure. Yeah,
very quick first CC for Cure as well. You can see it's already an orbital, Creighton, at the 4-minute 20 YOLO mark. So that's going to be able to take over and land very, very quickly here. We do have Roach Warren completed for our Zerg player. He's not producing any roaches yet. Instead, opting to spend his gas on pneumatized carapace so we can get in and have a bloody good scout lair on the way as well here. So RagnaroK's gas mining has ramped up. You can see actually with our tiny little blue arrow, he's mining a little more right now than his opponent, as he does have double gas on the natural. With 3 gases taken right now, I'm not sure if we're going to see a very quick spire or anything along those lines from our Zerg player. I think he's just going to play this out.
It's going to be a roach push here.
Yeah.
It's going to, sorry to interrupt you here. It's going to be a roach push from RagnaroK. He's stopped at 42 drones, which is the correct number to stop at if you're going for a roach ravager push. And it's going to be roach from here on out. In fact, we already see these dropper lords being produced, Grant, and that means it's not just a roach push. It is the famous German taxi build coming out from RagnaroK here. Of course, the German taxi named after those European players who are loading up their queens into a dropper lord to bring them to the forefront of the action. This is going to be a huge push, and I'm absolutely not certain that Cure knows this is coming. His Banshee's still back at home, but all he's got on the map right now, Grant, are Hellions, 2 Banshees, and 1 literal handful of Marines.
Yeah, 0 tanks is very, very concerning here for Cure right now. He hasn't started them. He's getting his upgrades. He has that 3rd CC so early, and RagnaroK is very aware of what's going on now. He's very prepared. TLO right now is just feeling a little bit of warmth inside as this build gets a little bit of play here. And that German taxi, the Queens will unload up here into the natural. We'll see a couple of bios come down to break down the walls, Chris Jericho style. And now this is all of a sudden very scary for Cure. He has a massive supply block. He's down in army supply 32 to 54. He's pulled every SCV but 1 bio to end this whole man's career, as a certain Creighton Olsen would say. And that bio does look like, oh, it gets pretty close to connecting.
Yeah, very dangerous bios here, but the SCV's pulled off the line. The Banshees are really the only hope, but of course there's an Overseer here, so those Cloak Banshees are not going to be as valuable as they otherwise would be. You can see both of them going down to bios now, and this is absolutely crippling damage from RagnaroK, who's continuing to produce lings in the background, but with 32 SCVs down already, Grant, this looks deadly from RagnaroK. Cure is going to try and hold here his Marine count all the way up to 13, which is really nice, and he's going to be able to drive this back, but there's been significant economic damage done. Even with 3 CCs, only 16 SCVs remaining. Cure is down. He might not be out, but he's down. Grant, I do have to ask you a question, though. You said a moment ago that RagnaroK was going to break down the walls. Did you say Chris Jericho style?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
What the hell just happened?
Wow. I was getting ready to settle into a mid-game, Grant. That's a historically bad read from RagnaroK. GG. Cure takes the win.
GG I've ever seen. Oh, RagnaroK. He was up 30 workers, Creighton.
Okay, so we should explain. There are a couple things that can happen after you go all in. Obviously, what you want to happen is you just wreck the place. You win everything, and you're great. Second, you mostly win. You get enough damage done that then you can be like, all right, well, I got enough damage done. I can start droning back home, get a 4th base, and all that stuff. Or the third option, which is to just lose. And I've got to say, Grant, that second option is definitely what happened there. Cure on 16 workers, RagnaroK still on 3 bases, still on Roach Tech. It was early enough in the game. He could have transitioned out. Maybe a Zerg player needs to, like a Zerg expert needs to hop into the chat and let me know if I'm missing something. But Grant, this looks like a historically bad read from RagnaroK there.
So Cure still had a lot of army supply advantage, but RagnaroK could have just made Ravage.
It was 33 to 20, and he was on roaches.
Yeah. I'm shocked right now. I cannot wait to see Twitch chat react to this. This is crazy. I mean, that was and can only be described as a colossal F up. Oh my god.
Well, I'm just trying to turn around in my head, like, what did RagnaroK think happened during that series? Maybe he saw the 3rd CC and assumed it was saturated, or that it...
Maybe he just didn't realize he killed 40 workers. He killed 15.
Yeah, maybe he had trouble sort of telling what was going on. This is a little surprising. An interesting choice. We got to get into game number 2, Grant. I'm really looking forward to seeing what chat has to say about that.
Yeah,
that GG, because that seemed like a winnable position for RagnaroK. But we'll hop into Death Aura for game number 2. The sins of our past cleansed with the cleansing fire of a game 2.
Our first player in the top left, currently the luckiest man on earth. He is the red Terran player representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming from South Korea. It's Cure.
And his opponent in the bottom right-hand side in the blue, representing Alpha X in South Korea. It's RagnaroK.
Okay, Cyril's in chat. I've asked him to stay.
Thank God.
Okay, so we have to reset here. We have to figure out what is going on. Army supply was, yeah, Cure had 32, RagnaroK had 20, but like, he lost 41 workers, Creighton. I'm watching it back. It's 40 SCVs. Wow.
Hey, if Sarah has the question marks, I feel better about being confused.
yeah, me too. Okay, so what have we got? We, once again, looking like a gasless opening for RagnaroK. Cure is going for a Reaper expand by the looks of things. Everything the same as it was in game 1.
We got to go back to what was most important from that game, Grant, which is when RagnaroK was breaking down Cure's wall, you referred to him as Chris Jericho.
Yeah, man, I'm going for the 2002 WWE references. His music.
I wondered if that might be the case.
Yeah, man.
Because when you say Jericho in reference to a wall, I was like, I don't remember Chris being a character in the Bible.
Yeah, Chris, you know, Jesus' drunk cousin. No, I don't know.
Famously helped bring the walls of Jericho down.
Yeah, with a shovel made of paint. Anyway.
Okay. Good to know. Little Reaper expand here from Cure. That Reaper bopping across the map now, Grant. We're gonna shake this off, shake that last game off, and get back into it here for game number 2. Looks very standard from Rag so far, though. This is nice.
Yeah, everything's pretty normal. Once again, we did see a gasless opening from RagnaroK for a considerable amount of time. His speed is that little bit later. But he picks up his gases on his natural quicker to make up for it. It's really pretty run-of-the-mill here to start things off. Reaper coming in. We have a Factory coming down as a follow-up, looking like a 1-1-1 from Cure so far. Who is probably counting as lucky stars. There's the third CC as well. Cure doing the exact same as he did in map 1. And we just have to hope that he gets as lucky as he did.
Absolutely. We'll see if that works out. Another third CC, which is nice from Cure. And is it a 1-1-1? No, he's changing things up a little bit here. So previously in the last game, we saw the third CC down into a 1-1-1 build from Cure. This game, we're seeing a second barracks go down instead, indicating a little bit more early aggression from our Terran player. This is really exciting from Cure. I hope he gets a chance to prove himself out on the map, because last game, he just kind of got suffocated by RagnaroK's push, right? This game, he might be looking to sort of control the tempo of the game on his own a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. RagnaroK, he hasn't got a roach run quite as quick as he did in the first map, so it is so far looking like he's going to play this out a little more standard. We'll have to see if that worker number does go above the low 40s, 42 typically, where you stop for those Roach Ravager pushes, and Creighton spotting that game 1 like a genius. Seeing a bunch of Hellions coming out here for our Terran player, most likely. Going to play Hellion Banshee once again, by the looks of things. I believe there is a... the tech lab has gone down onto the starport at home. Actually, no, it is. Oh, there is no starport at home.
There's no starport, right?
Yeah,
right. That's the whole thing. There's no starport yet.
It's shook from the last game. My brain isn't. Yeah, so lots and lots of Marines. Very safe here against any pressure that could come his way from RagnaroK. Having all those Marines stim on time. 1-1 versus too far behind. Hellions getting 3 workers. Not bad. How many Hellions died there? 2 in the Reaper. Yeah, it's okay. They've, you know, it's nice to keep the 4 Hellions, 6 Hellions if you go that far up, but that's not going to be the case here. Everything is just fine and dandy for now.
Yeah. This is hopefully we get a bit of a mid game here. This will be really exciting if these players go for it. And there's the Baneling Nest down from RagnaroK, which is what we were sort of looking for. What tech was RagnaroK going to go for? We saw him with the Roach push earlier, stopping at those 42 drones and going for the aggression. But the Baneling Nest here indicates that he knows he's going to be up against some early bio aggression. I'm not sure if he's seen those barracks. No, in fact, he hasn't seen anything, just the third base. So Baneling Nest, always a good choice here. Excited to see what RagnaroK goes for here as the Lair Tech finishes up. Speed Bane's on the way. Ling Bane, such an aggressive play. And then the question becomes, Grant, we're going to go into Ling Bane Muta, as is often seen, or are you feeling Ling Bane like Hydra Lurker, which does occasionally?
I think Muta. He's taking the 6 gases pretty quickly here. He's starting to bank up a good amount of gas. I think the reason he got that Baneling this quickly is because he did just see the 2 Hellions. By now, 6 and 8 would have shown if it was going to be something a little bit different. There is that Spire going down as anticipated here for RagnaroK. Double E-base coming down for Cure. He's got that 14 Marine drop as he, a couple of Marines shy there of a full party. Going to head on over, most likely to the main. Cure actually has done a good, well, I think the other way to put this is RagnaroK doesn't have good Overlord spread right now. He's not got anything out. He doesn't have many Spotterlings either. So this is going to, okay, it's going to pressure the third instead. I think going into the main here really had some potential, but instead going to push back that creep spread. Go for the Queens here. Very ambitious by Cure. Gets 1, gets 2, gets the third, and now will most likely keep going. He can get the cancel on this base, Creighton.
This is some really, really good pressure here from Cure. RagnaroK with those queens out and about. It wasn't critical mass of DPS they needed, and now we're going to see the power of these Marine drops. Not only is Cure kiting exceptionally well, RagnaroK simply doesn't have anything out. When you're going for Ling, Bane, Muta, and you don't have any Banes on the map, Brent, it's very difficult to defend this. He's sending waves and waves of Lings, but that's a highly efficient trade for our boy Cure, who still manages to get out with one medevac practically full of Marines. Really great pressure there from Cure, and that's a huge win early on. We're going to see him snowball and put the pressure across the map continually, even before Combat Shield finishes.
Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the right decision. He killed 7 queens, Creighton. Queens are so important in this because they provide constant DPS from almost Tempest-like range, and they're just great for defending. Also, the creep spread is going to be not... there's so little left here. We do see this Overseer going to go down as well. Cure right now is in a grand position in this game. Everything is working out for him after game 1's very lucky win. Baneling count right now is okay at 10, and there is centrifugal hook, so it is going to be quite easy for these Banelings to get good connections should RagnaroK play this right. We are going to see that load up. Widowmine getting heli. That was a lot of wasted Banelings though, right? 4, okay, maybe not the worst.
Those Widowmine shots were insane, Grant. Absolutely glorious there. 2 Widowmines doing a massive amount of damage. We can see Cure, who previously was on 15 Banelings, down to just 3 right now. And that's not enough Banelings. That's the one thing I was going to say. The biggest difference between those 2 attacks was that Muta and Baneling is finally in the picture for RagnaroK. But Cure able to put pressure on. Muta's on the 3rd base, though, of Cure now. And RagnaroK's going to try and find some counter damage. Yeah,
he's already... Okay, he hasn't lost any just yet, and as I say that to go down, it's very important that the Mutalisks don't go down. Cure doing a good job of keeping his Widowmine spread out into slightly unusual places, unpredictable positions here, so that when the Mutas are flying around, they do lose one. They do take a bunch of damage and can't commit into missile turrets. Cure's been playing some nice Terran versus Zerg in the second matchup. I like what he's doing so far. His 2-2 is already on the way, just as 1-1 is at about the same sort of level of completion as by RagnaroK. So Cure's upgrades are going to be good. Once again, the queen count is still only at 3, which means there's not even consistent injects across all 4 bases, let alone queens outspreading creep, and you can see how this is affecting the game. Cure has this huge army down here to the east side, the 3 o'clock point. RagnaroK hasn't got bloody clue, Creighton.
Yeah, it's a really nice read from RagnaroK, and he knows that he can't drone up right now because he's got not enough queens, but also he knows the army of Cure is a coming, and with these Banelings out on creep, I think he's going to be able to defend, but we'll see if Cure's micro is pretty good. Again, these Widowmines doing a great job sniping down tons of Banelings. Again, I'll trade 1 Widowmine for 5 Banelings every day of the week and twice on Sunday, Grant. Even if it means your push is slowed down a little bit, it's still a decent economic trade, and with a 4th base on the way for Cure now, he's in a position where he can take that economic advantage and sit back and wait for the game to come to him just a little bit. But RagnaroK can't allow that to happen.
Yeah, RagnaroK is kind of playing like he's at 90 drones and he's in a great position. He's playing he's playing quite cost inefficiently. If we take a look at the resources lost here, it's ridiculous. Our Zerg player has lost so much more than our Terran, and our Terran's doing a good job of kind of choking and starving RagnaroK out here. RagnaroK hasn't got his 5th base just yet. He does have it down. He's certainly still okay by any means, but look at the army supply differences here. As 2-2 completes, we are going to see a very big push, very committed engagement by Cure, and RagnaroK's going to need another miracle, I think.
Yeah, this is going to be a very difficult push to hit. 2-pronged harass from Cure is going to be really effective. He's got this army out here on the west side that's just Marines, and he's got the army up here on the northeast side as well that's Marines with a couple of Widowmines and a Thor also. In fact, interesting, Cure not going to go for that pincer move, and instead just going to marry up his army on the high ground outside of RagnaroK's potential 6th base here. I like that push from Cure. I expect him to move forward with it here, and a little drop in the main to add a little bit more spice here. Cure everywhere, all at once, looking beautiful, Grant.
Oh my god, that's a huge F2 actually. The entire Baneling collection was sent backwards. Cure not able to punish and get towards the 4th or 5th base. But I don't think he's too worried. He started his +3 weapons, no +3 armor just yet. Maybe a mistake. Did he queue him up on the same building? Nope, so he just hasn't been able to start that due to financial issues, I guess. And we can see right now that Cure's still in a great spot. 125 army supply, 221 upgrades. He still has a very large timing window before 2-2 is done for our Zerg player. And I don't know, RagnaroK is I don't know if he's tilted from that map 1 because he's not playing the best StarCraft we've seen from him this event so far.
The good news, he's got 47.
Yeah.
He's got 47 Banelings on the map, which is really, really nice for him. Able to drive back even the largest of Terran armies. Now, if Cure can somehow trap these Mutalisks, that would really remove a lot of RagnaroK's potential tempo shift from the game. Right now, it does look like he's going to be able to drive back this push on the east side, but that should open up things on the west side a little bit for Cure to move on in. The army supply is dead even, Grant, but don't let that fool you. RagnaroK actually has a significantly higher army value due to these Mutalisks, and they're going to be used intensely this game. Ooh, letting it drop into his main, though, not the way to start.
Yeah, this drop will probably be cleaned up even before it can unload, so it's actually not the end of the world here. We do have a full retreat almost from Cure over. He's just to kill an Overlord at the sort of 9 o'clock point. He gets that now. The army is still positioned here. We're not seeing any tanks or anything from Cure. He is opting to play Mass Widowman. He has 12 of those bad boys. Drilling Claws is done. Of course, he has an armory, so they're very difficult to deal with. He's continuing to add on a bunch of CCs, and it's at this point that Cure's going to just bank and be very, very cost efficient and probably try and choke his opponent out of the game. He is waiting for free upgrades before any big committals, which I don't hate. Free, of course, Marines firing so fast means they can take down units very, very quickly. Cancel on that base, killing the drone as well. And it still feels like this game is all Cure. RagnaroK's done a good job to get to max. He's been defending extraordinarily well, but he can't get any pressure out on the map. The Mutas are constantly forced to stay at home, and now we see that big engagement coming in.
Yeah, this is not the engagement that Cure was hoping for, getting caught a little bit by surprise, I think, forced to pick up that Thor and get out. That's a really nice surround by RagnaroK. Cure's going to try and counter pressure on the other side of the map here, but RagnaroK has a pretty mobile force right now. That's one of the benefits of going Lingbane Muta, and Cure's going to be forced to retreat. Again, RagnaroK defending very, very well here for a player who just moments ago we said was significantly behind, Grant.
Yeah, he's finally got a supply lead, first time in a considerable amount of time, and his free is on the way at about 1/5 of the way done. He's been using Banelings well this game, I will say. We started off and said maybe there was a couple of sketchy trades on Widow Mines, but since then he's been getting some good fights, and it feels like Cure maybe slopping it up a little bit with his control. That's not a phrase. The Baneling count is insane, going up into the 50s. Adrenal Glands also on the way means RagnaroK's army is going to be very, very strong. We saw in Cure versus Rogue earlier today that when the game got very late, Cure struggled to close it out and to take those victories. He took damage to those counters, and ooh, that's a big kill.
This little one there, yeah, just started there, and a failure to cancel. Obviously, throwing away units or throwing away minerals, never worth it. And there's a second kill on the other side as well.
In 5 seconds. Whew.
RagnaroK caught a little bit by surprise here for sure. Look at Cure's bank though, and that's what's going to really come. That's what it almost always comes down to in TBC is how's the bank looking right now, and how are these attacks going to end up? How are these players going to remax after their attacks? We can see Cure continuing to add on just Bio, Widowmine, and Thor, which is a great choice against Lingbane Muta. And right now, RagnaroK just getting up to his 3-3, getting his cracklings out. It looks like we're going to see a very long game here with Lingbane Muta versus this Bio Medevac Mine Thor style, which I really like, Grant. This is a very exciting game of StarCraft to watch.
Yeah, we typically expect the Zerg to be less efficient with their units, to have more drones and to throw Lings and Banes away. But right now there's an 8,000 difference in resources lost, and that's a little bit too careless with the resources lost tab here. Now, that being said, there is 90 drones for RagnaroK, which is that's exactly as exactly where you want to be. We do see some go up closer to 100, but I think 90, 91, early 90s is fantastic, and Ultralisks are on the way. Ultras are going to be very good against this. The Marauder count right now sitting at 8 isn't too bad by any means, and the 4s being out aren't bad as well, but Ultras are going to be able to force micro out of the Marines and the Marauders and the 4s as well, and allow for Ling run-bys and things like that. They just draw a little more pressure from our Terran player. We are going to see a pretty committed Mutalisk attack at the top. The Muta's kind of, I guess, losing some value at this point in the game. There's too many 4s out. He doesn't mind losing them if he can kill a bunch of workers, but he's losing a bunch of workers, and the Ultralisk Cavern. Oh my god, it's got 1 hit point. Okay, we see Chitinous Titan deny crate, and this is not so good all of a sudden.
Yeah, interesting engagement here from Cure. He took a really bad fight up on the high ground about 30 seconds ago, where RagnaroK took a really bad fight on the high ground about 30 seconds ago, where his Banelings just were like bumped up against a Thor but didn't explode for some reason. I don't know if he wasn't paying attention or just didn't micro quite correctly, but Cure was able to snowball that advantage on the west side into that pressure down on the south side. Luckily, RagnaroK had enough Banelings behind to go ahead and push him away there. So it was a nice follow-up from RagnaroK, but unfortunately, he basically was digging himself out of a hole from a bad fight that he took earlier. So not really ideal for RagnaroK there. These Mutalisks will be pushed away, and while they cleared out 2 SCVs and a couple of missile turrets, that Planetary Fortress stands strong, Grant, and for the first time in the last 8 minutes or so, Kira's going to jump ahead to an income lead this game with this 12 o'clock base fully saturated up.
Yeah, Kira's doing a good job now. His army is definitely strong. He is adding on 6 Marauders at a time, got a whole bunch of tech labs on those barracks. So if the Ultralisk, which there are a few of now, come back out, he should be pretty prepared to deal with it. Ultralisk Cavern is coming back down. There's a lot of Marauders here, actually, that can take these Baneling hits. The Baneling count may be a little too high, but the Muta count is still good. And they're going to be able to do a decent job as long as they don't stick around in Widowmine fire for too long. We do see 1 Widowmine, 2 Widowmines going off there on an Overseer. A bit of a mistargeting there from Cure, of course, focusing on his micro right now, but he just has too much. GG, Cure closes it out 2-0.